Hello, and welcome to the Permission to Be Pretty podcast, where we talk giving ourselves permission to be powerful, real, emotional, transparent, teachable, and unique. I am your very own Dr. Unique Simpson, and it is my pleasure to be sharing with you today. So, let's get into it. I want to talk about power. What do we mean when we say power or giving ourselves permission to be powerful? I believe that this is a term that we hear or have heard, fairly often. But what exactly do we mean? There's a common scripture, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. But what does that power entail? What do you mean when you tell me that I deserve to be powerful and that it is my right to give myself permission to be such? Well, I want to try to make this as practical as possible. And so in order to properly define power and what we mean by powerful, not in a textbook fashion, but in a manner that is logical and practical for us as individuals, as women, as men, as people who are on a journey of self-discovery and healing. I want to give you something to take away from this again that is not necessarily textbook, but that you can make personal. In order to do so, I want us to first think about being powerless. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt powerless? You felt helpless, where someone was either speaking to you in a manner or dealing with you in a manner that made you feel like a victim, where you could not speak up for yourself, you could not defend yourself, or even articulate your feelings. I want you to think about times in your life where you felt powerless. Perhaps you lost a job. Perhaps you went through a bad breakup. Perhaps you experienced abuse. Perhaps you experienced bondage in some way and you didn't feel as though you could stand up for yourself. You were indeed powerless. I have felt powerless, and the journey to not just regain my power, but identify that I am powerful and I deserve to be just that. Often when I counsel, depending on the situation, I find myself telling people to take back your power. I think it's common when we hear someone say they should not be able to upset you that much, or their actions should not have that kind of effect on you. You need to take back your power because you're giving them too much power. There's so many different aspects of this term, but let's try. I want you to hear me and I want you to receive, but I want you to also ponder and meditate on this. Think about your own life. Think about what power means to you, how it has affected you. A lack of either, I don't want to say not having power, because we have power, but too often we fail to exercise it or realize that we have it. It is our birthright. What do I mean? If you have come into relationship with Christ, you have come to know him, you have come into relationship with God, and you know who he is and who he says you are, it is your birthright. You and I have been born again. And so power is our birthright. So let's look at this. The definition for power states that it is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. The ability to do something or act in a particular way. So I want you, wherever you are, to think about this, that power is your ability. Make it personal. Power is my ability to do something, to act in a particular way, especially as a quality of who I am. The quality of who I am is directly tied to the power that I possess. Another definition, the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of events. The capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others. So when we think back to being powerless, to feeling powerless, and also going back to what I said about taking back our power, we can use this definition. Perhaps we have found ourselves in situations where we have given others the ability to influence our behavior or lack thereof. Think about that. Who have we allowed in our lives to influence our behavior? I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. So, in this, again, it can hopefully serve as a thinking point. I used to have a really bad temper. Not only was I abused by my mother, but I was also bullied. I went into the foster care system and I was bullied. And so from that, I developed a really bad temper, and it was a defense mechanism. I was tired of being abused. I was tired of being a victim. And so I developed a mentality that I was going to hurt you first, or I was going to hurt you worse than you hurt me. And so I went on through life with this temper, and it would not flare up if I wasn't provoked. But when I was provoked, oh, you best believe you were going to meet the temper. And so as I was going through life, even in my relationship with God, even being a woman of God, this temper was still prevalent. And one day, the Lord spoke to me so clearly. And what he said to me was that the enemy was going to always use my responses to situations to negate my credibility. He let me know, instead of him outright saying, this is wrong, don't do this, you can't keep swinging, you can't keep flying off the handle, he let me know the tactic of the enemy concerning me. God spoke to me so clearly and said, as long as you keep allowing them to provoke you, whatever response you give, the enemy is going to consistently discredit you. And that changed something in me, because I now knew, not only did I know it was wrong, and there can be several consequences to these actions, nor did I like it. Let me be very clear. I did not like having a temper, but it was learned behavior because of my past and because of the situation I was in. It was how I felt as though I was at the end of my ropes. A lot of times it's just how I reacted. And I spent a lot of time with people poking and provoking. And essentially, I gave them power. I gave them the ability. I made room for them. I shrunk myself and gave them the capacity to influence my behavior. Once the Lord revealed to me the plan of the enemy to discredit me, I decided that day to take back my power. So that's one aspect of it that I want you all to think about as you think about your own life and your journey of growing and evolving. Now let's look back at the first definition, the ability to do or to act. The ability to do or to act. Luke 10:19 says, I have given you authority to trample on snakes and scorpions and to overcome all the power of the enemy. Nothing will harm you. I have given you authority. I do believe that we associate power with authority, and if we don't, then we should. How have you given up your authority over yourself? How have you traded in your authority? Think about it. We can often dumb down to make others feel comfortable. We can be afraid to show who we are in certain settings. Being a woman, I have been in situations where I know that it is best that I just sit and look cute and keep my mouth shut. But God just has not wired me that way. As a woman, I am also aware when I walk into certain settings and atmospheres, I am not welcome to be powerful. I'm welcome to visit. I'm welcome to engage to a certain degree, to receive from others, but not to display who I am. I have had to grow up in God so that I feel free, the freedom that He has given me, that I take the liberty that He has given me, and I am unapologetic about it. But I had to learn. How do we as women enter male-dominant spaces and still maintain our power without feeling as though we do not have a right to be powerful in a male-dominant world? But then for men, how do you grow in a space where someone else is the head at the helm, and you now find that you are powerful within yourself And how do you step up and demonstrate that I'm no longer the little boy that you see me as or that I once was, but now I'm a full grown man. And I have had the audacity to tap into the power that has been given to me. How do we maneuver in the spaces that we find ourselves in and maintain our power without offending? Who I am and the way that God uses me can often be offensive because I'm bold, because I'm not quiet, and because I'm not soft-spoken. I can be taken the wrong way, so much so that it used to grieve me, and I mean grieve me to no end. I have often begged God to make me softer, make me more palatable. I wish that I had a quote unquote feminine voice. I feel my voice is deep for a woman. When I minister, when I go forth, when I say, God, have your way, and he does just that, there's nothing quiet about me. There's nothing soft. I've been told that I'm harsh. I've been talked about and not considered the most feminine. We also live in a world where women who are strong, who exude power, who are bold, who speak boldly, plainly, and who do not play games, we are now classified as militant. And I remember someone saying to me, I have a little too much testosterone. But I'm all woman. I've had to overcome so many comments, backhanded, right? Backhanded compliments. When I show up to minister, I'm most likely going to wear some sneakers. I would wear a sweatsuit if I could, not because I'm not feminine, not because I don't love dresses and the cute shoes, but because I've grown to know that God will do anything. He hears me when I say, Father, here I am, have your way. And so more times than not, I'm rolling around on the floor. And so it makes no sense for me to show up in 6-inch heels when I know they're not going to stay on my feet. Oh, but I'm all woman. It makes no sense for me to try to be soft-spoken so that it is easier to be received by others when that's just not me. When you overcome insecurity and you overcome loss and you overcome feeling as if you do not belong, and when God himself, the creator of heaven and earth, calls you and speaks to you audibly and says, I'm going to use you and you're going to do great things, and he trusts you and he empowers you, and you enter into spaces where you are then ridiculed for being you must dig deep and accept who he says you are and be okay with it. Now, I want to be clear. Power doesn't mean loud, but power is absolutely freedom. It's authority. It's whoever God says you are, showing up and being, not letting anyone or anything prevent you from being. That's power. Being unafraid to be you. That's power. Speaking with authority. That's power. Standing in your truth, in the authenticity of who you are. That is power. Being bold speaking boldly displaying your gifts, your talents, your passions, the things about you that God delights in. That's power. Not trying to be like anyone else. That's power. Not allowing someone, their opinion of you, their actions or their words to dictate your day. That's power. Not allowing someone else to alter your emotions, your state of mind, your state of being. That's power. Being unafraid. That's power. Being unapologetically you. That is power. God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Power, love, and a sound mind. That means love rules me. I am sane. I am sound in my thoughts and in my decisions. And why is power first and not love and not a sound mind? Because it takes all authority in me to command my space, to serve notice to the enemy that I have nothing to fear. That love and light rule and super rule in my life. I have a sound mind. I have clarity of thought. I know who I am. I know who I am. You who are listening, I need you to declare, I know who I am. And because I do, and I can boldly declare it, and I can show up in the authenticity of who I am, that is power. And that is me giving myself permission to be powerful. To be powerful. It is my birthright. It is your birthright. He has given you power, authority, and now give yourself permission to live it. The instruction from the Lord concerning me, my temper. If as a full-grown woman, I was still walking around saying, well, I'm this way because my mother did this. Well, I'm this way because they did that. I'm still giving them power. I have the power. And the power that I have dictates that I conduct myself with integrity. That I conduct myself in a manner that is pleasing to my Father. That I conduct myself in a manner that brings him glory. And so for somebody under the sound of my voice, not another day will you say, because mama did this, I can't help myself. Because daddy did or didn't do this, I can't help myself. Because I grew up in a household where they said this was okay, this is how I am now as a full-grown adult. To someone under the sound of my voice who says, well, I just haven't had a fair shake in life. And so I now must. I cannot help myself. That's not power talking. See, power dictates that I'm no longer a victim. I'm not a victim of my childhood. I'm not a victim of my past. I'm not a victim of yesterday. I am powerful today. I need you to give yourselves permission. No more excuses. No more woe is me. I am powerful. It's who I am. And if my power offends you, then that's not my problem. I'm not going to dumb down. I'm not going to not put on display who I am to cater to your insecurities. I've had to learn that when I just show up and simply be and do what God has sent me to do, then they will know that I'm not here to play. God sends me because he trusts me, and he trusts me to do what? Not to cower. He trusts me to be who he has raised me up to be and to walk in my power. We live in a world where there's so much competition. Just as I am powerful, so are you. And my mission, my life's mission, is to awaken God's people to the power that they possess. I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to show you what power looks like. I'm here to show you what being unapologetic about who you are looks like, what it sounds like, how it moves, how it talks. If people cannot take who you are, they are simply the wrong people. If I am not a yes woman, if I cannot be controlled, if I know who I am and it offends you, and you don't deem me worthy enough to stick around, baby, I know who I am, and good riddance. I have given myself permission to be powerful. I have picked myself up out of the gutter. I have overcome the actions and the words of many, men and women alike. And I have stayed in the face of God. I've allowed him to prune me, to mold me, and to shape me, and to build me up into the woman that he needs me to be. And I'm still evolving. But once you have gone through such a process, been bent over backwards, the enemy has tried every which way to break you. And not only have you not broken, you have managed to stay sane, be in your right mind after all the hell, and discover your power. Oh, no devil in hell can come and take it away. Give yourself permission. I can only talk about my experience, but think about your experience. What have you overcome? What has God brought you from, brought you out of? Tap into that. Give yourself permission to be powerful. God has already given it to you. He's given you power and permission. Tap into it. Tap into it. I do not care what they say, how they say, or who it offends. You deserve to operate in your power. You deserve it. Give yourself permission to indulge in it. Fall so in love with it. Powerful me is so attractive. So much more attractive than victim me. Often they're attracted to your power. Don't have the audacity to have power and know it. Oh, then you are a force to be reckoned with. I certainly hope that you have enjoyed this episode of Permission to Be Pretty podcast. Until next time, walk in your power. Stand tall in it. Rest in it. Allow it to just seep through your pores.